Thank you, young lady. Her time has expired, and I'm pleased to yield 5 minutes to Mr. Tiffany. Ms. Tiffany, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair.
Morning.
First of all, Director, can those that were fired as a result of not taking your staff, as a result of not taking the vaccine, can they get their jobs back?
Congressman, we have processes for all that, and I'm certain that we will follow them and afford the appropriate due process, following OPM guidance and regulations and all the rules and laws.
Is prison ministries allowed in the Bureau of Prisons?
Yes, Congressman, they are.
Have they been in during COVID?
Well, we had to restrict through our COVID operations, obviously, people coming in for their safety and for ours. We don't want to introduce COVID into our environments. So it's been restrictive, but we worked on that. We have a matrix out there operational. If the institution CEO, if they fall into that criteria, they can make those adjustments daily. For any given place, Congressman, I can't answer that today, but we can certainly get you the information if you're interested in a specific location.
Please do that. With the explosion in crime in the United States the last couple of years, have you seen an increase in the inmate population in the Bureau of Prisons?
Actually, Congressman, our population has decreased over the last several years.
Is part of that as a result of the COVID releases that you've done? I think you detailed those numbers earlier.
Yes, Congressman, it is. And please keep in mind that we're on the back end of the criminal justice system. So it takes time to go through the system. So I would defer some of that information probably to the DOJ. We get them at the back end of it.
Thank you very much. Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you can still contract COVID-19. Why are we still releasing inmates?
Congressman, if I understand your correction or your question correctly, under the CARES Act, is that what your question is? Why are we releasing inmates under the CARES Act?
Yeah. Yes.
Because it is a statute. We're following it, the guidance that we were given. So we follow the law, Congressman.
Do you think we should rethink that as a Congress that sets this policy, or can change the policy?
Congressman, I would defer to you and the members of Congress to answer that.
So we had the 2 stabbing deaths down in, I believe it's the Beaumont facility in Texas. Prior to the stabbing incident, if these 2 people would have had COVID, is it possible they could have asked for release under the law?
Well, Congressman, I want to make sure I paint the right picture here. We're going to appropriately review everybody by the criteria, but the security level where this incident happened, and the fact that these individuals were members of security threat groups and at a high security, the chances of them being released were probably very slim, because one of the criteria is you cannot have a crime of violence, and it appears that these individuals were involved in violence. Precisely why prisons exist. There are a small fraction of people as these that are going to continue their criminal activity.
So it's not completely ruled out that they could have gotten release.
Congressman, that's why we have the criteria, and we utilize our good discretion and judgment and follow that statute.
Federal prison inmates are keeping large sums of money, as much as $100,000 each, in government-run deposit accounts, effectively shielded from court orders, including people like the pedophile Larry Nassar, the Boston bomber, Mr. Tsarnaev. What specific plans does the Bureau have in place to ensure victims get what they are owed?
Hey, Congressman, good question. First off, I want to stress something that currently the BOP does not have the authority to seize funds independently from an inmate without their consent. We are working with the Department of Justice to change that rule that will allow us to automatically encumber funds or a portion of their funds to pay fines and restitution. Our inmate trust fund collects about $6 million annually to make sure that they pay restitution. But I stress again that we don't independently have the authority to retrieve funds. We work with other law enforcement entities. In that case, the United States Marshal's Office, the United States Attorney's Office, and the courts in those manners when we have to do that.
Yeah, I think that's something, Madam Chair, that should really be looked at. The other thing that I would urge, Madam Chair, we need to hear, after hearing Mr. Stubbe's questioning, and I'm so glad the representative from Pennsylvania was concerned about solitary confinement. We need to have a hearing on the January 6th detainees. We need to have a full airing of what is going on with those January 6th detainees, because they're being submitted to conditions that many on this committee, including the other side of the aisle, find reprehensible. It's time to have a hearing on January 6th detainees. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. The gentleman's time has expired, and I'm pleased to yield to the gentlelady from Pennsylvania, Ms. Scanlon. You're recognized now for 5 minutes.